Well, hi again, everybody. The football season, the school year is here, and we're at Trinity Mother Frances Rowe Stadium as we kick off another season of Coach's Corner. We've enjoyed doing it now for umpteen years, or well over a decade and a half now. But we want to introduce today our brand new athletic director in the Tyler Independent School District. Greg Priest comes to us, former golf coach at Baylor University. He is a Canton, Texas boy, and he is here with us, and we're on the field today with the stadium and the field right behind us. It'll be pretty active coming up with the Trinity Mother Frances Kickoff Classic, which of course includes the Gilmer Liberty ILO game, followed by John Tyler in Plano, followed by Robert E. Lee and Keller Fossil Ridge, all that on the final week of August. But let's spend some time with Greg Priest. Greg, first of all, welcome to Tyler. How's it going for you so far?
Thank you. Everything's been good. It's been a pretty smooth transition right now.
This has been a whirlwind from the time you, I guess, applied for the job. Just talk about the whirlwind of activities that go in making a transition like the one you made.
Well, I coming from college athletics and being at Baylor, I mean, it's been, that was a great experience for me. But, when this opportunity came along, I knew that I always wanted to get into administration, and being back at Tyler, getting closer to home, that was something that I really wanted to shoot for.
I know that before we talk about what attracted you to the job, but we're going to talk about Greg's background because you're no stranger to Tyler. You were once the golf coach at Tyler Junior College, so you lived here for a couple of years.
I did, yeah. I was here. I was very fortunate. I was coach here 2 years, was able to win 2 national championships, and that helped me catapult into Division I athletics.
Now, talking about Canton, Texas, and being growing up there, your family still lives there, so you're an East Texas guy.
Yes, sir. Yeah, grew up in Canton. Actually, graduated from Maybank. But my family still lives in Canton, and brother coaches in Canton, and so yeah, it's good to be back.
All right. So when you went to high school in Maybank, what sports did you play? What'd you play?
Football, basketball, baseball. That was what you did. I always thought I'd be a high school coach, and started out there, but always thought I'd coach football and baseball, and so it's good to be back. I mean, Friday nights, was very special to me growing up and playing on Friday nights, and so being able to get back to that, and I'm ready for that excitement to.
Yeah, talk about the passion of just of sports in general, but especially high school football. You know about it. What it's like in East Texas.
Man, that's what you grow up for, going to those games on Friday night. And I can remember the first, actually when I came to TJC, when that first Friday night, because I started out being a high school coach and coached football those 2 years. And then I came to TJC and I was just the golf coach. And I didn't know what to do with myself on Friday nights.
Yeah.
And so it was strange because that's, like I said, you grow up with that being such a big part of your life. And then being able to, having the opportunity to play on Fridays, and then thinking about coaching and being able to experience that, and now being able to come kind of full circle back. I'm waiting for that first game when John Tyler plays Plano.
This is a big change for you. What attracted you to this job?
Well, I think one is I always thought I wanted to get back to Tyler, but I coached for 20 years and 18 of it in college athletics, and you do a lot of traveling, and I have 2 young kids, and when you spend a lot of time on the road, I wanted to be able to be a better father and a better husband, and this gave me the opportunity to do that. I know it's going to be a lot of long hours, and so I wasn't looking to retire.
Yeah.
This was a move that was about family and getting my family in a great environment.
But at least the hours you spend, and you're right, I mean, you'll spend 18-hour days, a lot of 18-hour days, but at least you're doing it here in town, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's not on the road. So,
yeah.
College athletics was great, and I would still be doing it today if this job had not come open. But whenever I saw that it was, I wanted to take a shot at it, and fortunately, I was given the opportunity to take it.
Well, what was it like being the golf coach at Baylor University?
Well, it's great. Being able to travel all over the world. We played in Japan and Scotland, recruited all over the world, and just the people that you meet, just everybody that you come in contact with, and from the great players that I was able to coach, and it was really a true blessing, and just just really the people that you're associated with.
Yeah, but the recruiting, you talk about people don't realize, they know football because they read about it. It's on Rivals.com, all the recruiting, but golf, in all sports in college, the hours you put in, how much traveling do you do?
Golf, you really don't have a downtime. We played 5 tournaments in the fall, then you played about 8 or 9 in the spring, and you're traveling during spring break, you're traveling at the Christmas break, and then it's all summer. And so, your majority of your job is recruiting. So every day you spend time recruiting, and then you're trying to go travel because you don't have a recruiting calendar, so you have to be on the road. And so all together with tournaments and everything, you're in a hotel probably about 90 nights out of the year.
Really?
So it's busy.
Yeah, it is busy.
But it's fun. And when I was younger, when I first got into it before I got married, you could send me anywhere, and it was a blast. And there wasn't a place I didn't want to go. And then as you start getting kids and getting a family, you still go, but now my kids are starting to get into baseball and playing different sports. So it's you want to be there and you don't want to miss those moments.
Greg was the men's golf coach at Baylor. I'm curious to know, this is kind of off the subject a little bit, but how good are these young? We see Rory McIlroy doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's won 4 majors. He's not even 25 years old yet. How good are these young players?
They're pretty good, and they're getting better and better just because the training and the technology and everything is really speeding up that learning curve. But there's just so many. It's just hard. There's so many out there, and it's hard to be a professional golfer and make it on the PGA Tour. And because there's a lot more that are out there that are just as good, but they just can't put it all together at the right time. So, you can go out to the driving ranges on those mini tours and watch those guys hit balls, and you think, man, how's that guy out on the tour?
Right.
But it's just being able to put it all together at the right time.
What is it about? What's the difference between Rory McIlroy and some young man who's awfully good, but he's just not quite there yet?
I think they're all great ball strikers. It may come down to a little bit of course management, some things like that, but for the most part, it's just mental toughness. And being able to know what you can and can't do. But it comes down to a lot of mental toughness and being able to find a way to get it in the hole, because you're not always going to hit it great. You're probably going to hit it, hit a lot of bad shots during the round, but it's how you recover from those shots and do you let it unravel you. And that's the best ones are able to control those emotions.
Who's your best guy out there right now?
Joakim Mickelson won the Big 12. That guy, he had web.com status last year. He's probably, and I've got a few guys playing on the mini tour, but Jimmy Walker, he actually graduated right before I got there, but he's the biggest Baylor guy out there right now, the FedEx Cup points leader right now, and just had a top 10 finish in the PGA, and so he's the biggest name out there right now for Baylor.
There's always issues in athletics, but since you just came from college athletics, NCAA has made a decision to basically allow the Big 5 conferences, of which you were one of them. In one of them, you were the golf coach at Baylor in the Big 12. To more or less let them make their own rules, and the court has actually kind of upheld that now.
Yeah, I saw today with the Ed O'Bannon with the images that now you're able to compensate those guys, and I don't know how that'll all come out. I'm not gonna. I know schools are making a lot of money off of the likeness of those athletes, and through the EA Sports and things like that, but. Unfortunately, those soccer players and the golfers and the softball players, they're not on those sports, and so I don't know what can be done to compensate them. But
should college athletes be compensated though, with a stipend or something like that? What do they call it? Full cost of attendance or whatever the term they're using.
Golfers. Your only sports that have full scholarships are football and basketball. The rest of them are all partial scholarships. So very few kids are on full rides. And you look at a school like Baylor. It's 40. I think when I first started, it was 27,000, and now today, I think when I left, it was probably right around 49,000. And so your kids are having to come out of pocket a lot of money, or parents are, And so I think everything you can do to help that experience, is definitely going to help. But as far as paying them, I don't know. I mean, you want to make sure that they're there to get an education, and it is amateur. They are amateurs, so it's not professional athletics. But you do want to make sure that they're taken care of, and they have money to go eat, and do some of those social things that maybe that some kids aren't able to do.
All right, so that's a whole different realm now. How different is coming from college to high school for you now?
Well, we'll see. Got to get my feet wet here. It's two totally different animals, but the good thing is the majority of the kids that are going to be in high school athletics are shooting for that.
Right.
And they want to get to that
And it's still
level.
athletics.
And it's still athletics. So it's done the exact same way, just a little different platform.
When you considered applying for this job and then got down to right at the end, you were one of the final two candidates and you knew you had a chance, what skill set do you believe that made you the right candidate to lead our athletic department?
Well, I think the main thing, it's all about managing people. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, through my all the other experiences I've had, being able to be at Baylor and be a part of probably one of the greatest turnarounds in college athletics.
Absolutely.
And that started with hiring great people, and so luckily for me, I was able to be a part of that. And then you take I was fortunate to be at great places all along, and had great administrators. From John Peterson at TJC, who gave me my first opportunity, and then going down to Sam Houston State with Bobby Williams, and then you get to go to to Texas, and where you have you get to be under DeLoss Dodds, and those are some of the greatest ADs, and then you have M. McCall at Baylor, and all those people have done outstanding jobs, and so being able to learn, and I know from the coaching side, of what I expected of an administrator, and what I would like to see and what I would like to have done. And fortunately, those I was able to see those things and had great models to be able to learn from. But as I said, it's all about managing people, and you want to be able to give your put great people in place, and then be able to let them do their job and give them what they need to be successful.
There's a feeling when and I asked you this the day, of your news conference when you got the job, that TIST athletics, while good, have not advanced a whole lot. They've been kind of stuck in the mud a little bit over the past 5 years. What can you do about that?
We just have to raise the bar. Our coaches are the ones that are going to set the standard, and they've got to raise the bar and set it high. And know that this is what we need to do, and we want to we're about winning district championships, making the playoffs, and then have a chance to win state championships. But we've got to be solid in our coaches and make sure that we have the quality people in place. And but it's setting that standard and coming out with energy, and we've got to find ways to get it done.
I ask you this too, and I'm going to ask you again. Do you have the power to hire and fire coaches? Or is it that simple to say something?
Well, I'll say the same thing that I did last time. I think this year is going to be a lot of evaluating of all the coaches. But, the last thing I want to do is come in of thinking of who I need to fire.
Right.
Hopefully we've got the guys in place,
right,
and got the staff in place that can take us where we want to go. But if we don't, we will make those changes. And because the standard's going to be set, and we want to win here. I know the community's hungry; they want to win, and that's what it's about. We want to make sure that we have the right people in place, and so at the end of this year, we'll sit down and we'll evaluate, and if we're not going in the direction that we need to be, then we're going to make some changes.
As you look at facilities, we're at the football stadium today. A lot of work's been done out here over the course of the past decade, still more to go, but just in your time here so far, what's your feeling about facilities in the Tyler ISD?
Well, we definitely need some upgrades. Mm-hmm. This is a great place. I've been to a lot of football games here. I never had the fortune, never fortunate enough to play here, but it is a nice facility, and Mike Carter's a very nice facility. It's so. we've got the makings of some good places. But we've got a lot of upgrading to do. Our gyms and just the locker room facilities, the weight rooms. All those different places. Need to be addressed, and we just need to put a plan in place and be able to reach them. It's not going to happen overnight, but we've got to have a vision and put a plan in place and see if we can reach them.
Greg, the last I can't remember the last time Tyler ISD included athletics in a bond election. It's been all about the schools, which is proper and appropriate, I know. But other districts, people see that and they know that other districts, the most recent, most publicized, that football stadium in Allen, which has had some problems. But they spent a whole lot of money, and that was a bond election that people actually voted yes for. You see that happening here? Not this. I'm not saying replace the stadium, but including athletics as a line item on a bond election at some point.
Well, I hope so. And because
and making people buy into it and believe that you need it.
Because we are part of the community, and and we've got to do a better job of getting our students out in the community and making them understand what they need to do to be able to give back. But I hope that is the case because this community needs great facilities, and because the athletic department is a driving force, and it gets people excited. It brings people together, and that makes a tight bond between a lot of people. And we've got two great schools here with John Tyler and Robert E. Lee, and so we want to have the two best high schools that we can in this area, in East Texas and in this community, and make people proud for us.
If you were going to summarize why athletics are important, I've got my theories on it. What would you say to people? Why should they care about athletics?
Well, because when you've got great athletics and you've got great coaches, it is a vehicle to drive life skills and to be able to teach all those things of integrity, accountability, trust, sportsmanship, all those things, and it's being able to prepare these students and these student athletes to be leaders, because they're going to be the leaders in the next generation. And so we want to be able to prepare them, and that's the vehicle. That may be what keeps kids in school. And so that's got to be, we've got to do a great job of that, of developing these kids and making sure that they're ready, so when they go to the next level, whether it's going to college, going to trade school, just going and getting a job, that they are prepared and they have the life skills and the leadership skills to be able to go do that. So that's why it's so important.
It's very competitive out there. Obviously you're competing in an arena where there's a scoreboard on both ends of this stadium that tells you whether you won or lost on a Friday night, and doesn't that make athletics a little different than just a normal job?
It does. Yeah.
When you were a golf coach, you had your report card was whether they were 5 under par or 5 over par, right?
That's right. And it's about developing winners. And so at the end of the day, it is about wins and losses. Hopefully we're going to have a lot more wins than we do losses this year. And so it's going to be a great season, and I'm excited. With the start today, 5 a.m. out at John Tyler and going over there and being able to watch practice this morning, and then jumping over.
You went to the practice at 5 a.m.?
I went over to practice and then caught Robert E. Lee this morning too.
Okay.
But it's an exciting time because football is here, and then you've got volleyball, which is picking up, and then school is just around the corner. So I think everybody's excited. That anticipation of. It's a great time because everything's on TV now.
Oh, sure.
Sports is hitting now. So when you got that little summer lull, and we're getting past that. So when football hits and it's a great part of the season.
Of course, the Kickoff Classic is coming up the 29th, 30th, and 31st of August. It's a 3-day event. And of course, we've been doing this for a decade now. But it's really a cool event. That'll kind of be your baptism, I guess, out here at the stadium morning.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that first week, I guess, which is the 28th coming up. So, which is just around the corner. So it's going to be exciting. I'm ready for those games to get here.
Yeah, the 28th is the first game. Let's see, 25, 6, 8. The Thursday night, the 28th of August, Trinity Mother Frances Kickoff Classic. You'll have Gilmer and Liberty Isle, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So and then the next night I believe it's John Tyler and Plano, and then you've got Robert E. Lee against Fossil Ridge.
That's pretty good stuff. And again, districts are changed up this year. You saw it from a distance, But for folks just to get an idea, when you change up districts, the travel involved and all the planning that goes into it, I mean, that's a big change. I mean, there's a lot of issues, scheduling, and just all kinds of things that have to be worked out.
Yeah, there's a lot of logistics that go into this, and you know, especially with 2 Thursday night games, you know, this year, and you know, trying to work all those things out, because that's gonna be something different for us, and you know, all those games that are going to be in Garland, and then you throw Rockwall in there, but you know, this is for Lee, but just those Thursday night games, how, you know, accommodating those things, and you know, traveling up, playing a game, then getting back, and then having to get those kids back up to go to school the next morning, and addressing all those issues. So you know, but it's part of it. You know, everybody's going to face adversity, and it's all how you deal with it, and we got to make the best of it.
Now, Ennis is in 16-5A as a football program. For those not familiar with the redistricting, Ennis is in football, but they opted out for all the other sports, did they not?
That's correct. Yeah.
Why'd they do that?
You know, I'm not sure. You know, I wasn't here at that time, and so you know, I'm not. I can't.
But people do have to remember. I guess my theory is that it's one thing to come to a football game on Friday night and drive 100 miles.
Yeah.
But you know, that girls' volleyball team, or you know, a little something about golf, playing a golf tournament and driving all over the place. It's a little bit. I mean, it's tough. It's expensive to do that too.
It is, and that's what we all have to be worried about is, you know, is budgets and the cost of travel and all those things. And so you know, it's not a perfect system, but it is a system that we're dealt with, and you know, you just got to deal with it and make the best of it and move on.
How involved in middle school scheduling? And so we haven't even touched on the middle schools, but that is, I know from talking to past athletic directors, Coach Long and Coach Casper before you, that those middle school schedules sometimes just drove them absolutely crazy, because that's an overlooked part of the job too, isn't it?
It is, and it's a very important part too, because that's where you're introducing, you know, they're getting introduced to you know, school athletics, and so you want that to be great, and it is still driving it's still driving me crazy too, because we're still trying to get it worked out. But this will be one of the first years that we're not just playing, you know, and this as far as football, we are playing Lindale and White House, and I think Nacogdoches. So we are jumping outside of Tyler and just trying to make those accommodations and getting those schedules set. And but we're working on it, and we hope to get that resolved here pretty quick, and try to make it to where it benefits everybody.
In your years, and again, this is still kind of new to you, but just for folks not familiar, the University Interscholastic League runs all of this. They're the overseeing body. They're the NCAA of high school athletics in Texas. Talk a little bit about, you know, the kind of organization they are, and working with them, and how closely you have to work with those guys all the time.
Well, you know, they set the standards, and so, you know, going by their rules, and you know, they do a great job, and you know, we definitely want to make sure we're abiding by those rules, and doing everything we can to stay up on all the policies and procedures, and so. You know, we have to make sure our coaches know all the rules too, and they're always changing and throwing different things and changing rules and doing different things. So it's our job to make sure that we're abiding by them.
How big was the NCAA rule book? Was it that thick?
It's thick.
Was it that thick?
It's thick, and the thing is there's a reason why those rules are in there, because somebody did something to break one of them. And but that thing is a monster.
All right, so if the NCAA is that big, how about the UIL?
It's a little thinner. It's a little thinner. So, yeah, there's not quite as many you have to worry about, but you know, and each sport has their own manual, and so, but it's still, you know, it's still the rules, and you got to make sure you know them and abide by them.
Greg Priest, the TISD athletic director, brand new TISD athletic director, is with us. People always ask about the district boundaries. There's a perception out there that these kids kind of go wherever the heck they want to go, and they don't observe the boundaries in this district very, very well. Fair or not fair, in your opinion?
I would say that's fair. You know, we've got to do a better job on it. Making sure, you know, but it's a tough situation. I mean, it really is, and I don't think there's a perfect system. And the thing is we're not the only one. You know, I've called around to different ADs within the state, and there just really isn't a perfect system, and it's just we've just got to find a way with what works best for us, and the main thing is we want to do what's right and make sure it's provide equality for both schools, and and that's what it's all about. And as long as we can do that, at the end of the day, we're going to be fine.
Are you concerned that there's been recruiting going on among the schools? Maybe not from, I'm not talking about the coaches necessarily, but from outside influences.
I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that. I don't think I've been here long enough. I mean, you definitely hear rumors, but they're rumors.
Yeah.
So, so I can't say one way or the other until people come with, concrete evidence. I mean, there's, then they are going to stay rumors. And but we just want to make sure that we do a good job, and we do our due diligence, and when somebody does want to transfer, that if it's a legit transfer, then we can do it, and if not, then you need to go where you're zoned to go, and so that's we've got to work and do a better job, and it's got to get better. But I will tell you, there's not a perfect plan or a great solution.
As how closely do you have to work daily with Coaches Piskey at Robert E. Lee and Rickland Holmes at John Tyler?
I stay in contact with them a lot, and those are my two key guys, and they're the driving force over there at each of their respective campuses, and so I try to stay in contact with them daily, and I want to build a great relationship with those guys, and as I do with all the coaches, and I want to know that I'm here for them, and I want to fight for them, and I'm whatever they need, that I'm here to go and make sure that I can give them everything that they need to be successful.
What do you see as your biggest challenge going forward, Greg?
My biggest challenge is going to be the the transfers.
Okay.
I think that's going to be one big transfer, but then another is getting these facilities up to date, and and improving them and getting those. Other than that, it's sports. If we can put quality teams out here, people are going to want to get involved, and so if we can do that, then we're going to be in good shape. 5 years from now, the last minute or so that we have, 5 years from now, just kind of an overall vision of where you'd like this district to be athletically. Man, I tell you what, we want to be a premier program in the community, in our district, and then known throughout the state as one of the premier districts in the state. And that's at both levels, at 5A and the 6A. So if we can do that, that's where we want to go. We want to have quality programs from top to bottom, and that starts from golf to softball, volleyball, all the way, and then the driving force football. So we want to be great at everything here. Welcome to Tyler, man. Good talking to you.
Appreciate Greg Priest, the new athletic director for Tyler ISD. Again, the Kickoff Classic is here. Tickets are on sale. The great thing about the Kickoff Classic is one ticket will get you all three ball games. Thursday night, August 28th, Gilmer and Liberty ILO. Then on Friday night, the 29th, it's John Tyler and Plano. And then Saturday, the Robert E. Lee Red Raiders against Keller Fossil Ridge. The season is here for athletics and Tyler ISD. And thanks again to Greg Priest, our new athletic director. For Coach's Corner from Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium, thanks for joining us.